Hey guys, welcome back to the Play on Footy YouTube channel. My name is Bailey and we are going to be recapping the round 15 last week of the buys. Fantastic that is now over and we can get into some, 9 games of footy this round coming, round 16. We're going to be recapping all the games that just happened in round 15. So we'll start from the very last game. We'll work our way back to the very beginning. Dockers versus the Suns at Optus Stadium. The Dockers got away with a win, which was great to see. It wasn't the cleanest game from the Dockers, but their combination of Darcy and Jackson definitely has lifted, so to speak. Jackson probably didn't have the most impactful game, but overall, I think it was a successful tout for the Dockers, and the defensive pressure was quite high from the get-go. They did have, for the Suns, Will Powell return in his first game since being suspended from his, comments on the field. And he tore it up, 115 AFL fantasy. I think he reminds me a bit of a Lockie Whitfield, to be honest. I think he's a good, inclusion for the Suns going forward if they do play in the finals, which you can't rule them out at this stage, which is good to see. But yeah, overall, I think the Dockers did well. I think the Suns will definitely be wanting to get one back, especially against Collingwood this coming week. So that'll be interesting, and I'll do my predictions video in the coming days. The next game was the Bombers versus the Eagles. This one was at Marvel, and the Bombers, they were red hot favourites. No Reed, no Kelly for the Eagles, so very depleted midfield. Obviously, the back line of the Eagles is quite strong still with Brass and McGovern. They played reasonably well, so did Duggan. But the Bombers, Jai Caldwell, absolutely phenomenal. Sam Durham was absolutely just an absolute gun, really stood up. And Jakey Stringer, 5 goals, 1. He is definitely the package. He is showing some signs of what he did at the Bulldogs in the year of 2016 when they won the flag. And I think he was responding to Kane Corn's comments early in the week saying that it was on Jake Stringer because if he's not in the Hall of Fame, it's on him. But 5 goals, 1 in a game that's obviously not against a really good competitive side like the Eagles, he still did well. So you've got to give him that. So yeah, the Bombers came away the winners there, which is good to see. And the next game was Melbourne versus North. Melbourne did very, very well against North. And when I say very well, they did well to hang on. It wasn't the best game from Melbourne. Obviously, they had Salem that got subbed out with some sort of knee niggle, which has been managed. But overall, I thought Trent Rivers did really well in the midfield. Viney as well, stepping up for obviously Petrarca and Gawn, the leader of the footy club against Tristan Cherry. Tristan Cherry really took it up to Max Gawn though, which was good to see. But yeah, 3-point winners, Melbourne just sneaking through. She's always finding the ball. 111 AFL fantasy he got. But yeah, for Melbourne, I just don't think their finals ready this year. They've had Angus Brayshaw drop out. Now they've got Christian Petrarca. I think their problems run deeper than those losses. I think it's a cultural problem that they have. Clayton Oliver having an awful game. I just don't really know what is going on with Clayton Oliver, other than the fact that I know that he had a massive bender of a preseason, and he's trying to cover up lost ground, and he's that far behind. I would be very surprised, if they didn't drop him, but he should be dropped. He's going to have backing of the coach, Simon Goodwin, but that performance was, I know he was tagged, but it was almost like he was tagging himself. It was that poor. So yeah, look, big problems there at Melbourne. North Melbourne, another closely lost game. It's just agonising for supporters, but they are, improving. At least it's not a blowout, which is good to see. The next game was Giants versus Sydney. This one was a very wet game. Tom Green for the Giants is back, perhaps. 127 AFL fantasy. Lockie Whitfield doing really well on the back line there, running it through. 108 AFL fantasy. And for Sydney, it was Goulden, 154 AFL fantasy, and Grundy in the middle. Tor Briggs and Yuan, 122 AFL fantasy. Did really well. Sydney, yeah, they're the best in the competition. We all know that by now. It's pretty evident. The Giants, you sort of feel for them in a way because they do have a bit more of an injury list than Sydney. But I think there's definitely more room for improvement for the Giants. I don't think it's season over for them, but they will be disappointed with that. I think they're out strategically smarted by Sydney. And Sydney have so many goal scorers in their midfield, but also in their forward line. Joel Amartey didn't hit the scoreboard. He kicked 9 goals in the previous week against Adelaide, but I think going forward, they've got so many contributors, Sydney, that as soon as they get it forward, they just get on the boat, kick goal. So even James Jordan, who's more of a tagger, he still tries to hit the scoreboard. You know, he kicked I think a behind or in a goal, I think, in that game. But yeah, it was good to see. But yeah, the Sydney Swans are the best in the comp. There's no more really to be said on that one. Port versus the Lions, what a bloodbath. I mean, Ken Hinkley is in serious trouble. The fact that he got booed when he left, it's just, yeah, not a good look for the club. They come out today and said they've got full support, and Carr came out and said, yeah, look, you know, we support Ken. But yeah, it's just, it's unfortunate that they've got, in some respects, such a good list, but they're not utilising it. It's a bit like Beveridge in a way, you know, like you look at their list and you think, well, they should be doing so much more than what they actually are. And Port, they've been, Ken Hinkley's been backed by Koshy for 13 years now, 11 or 13 years, I think it was. But yeah, like you got Butters, Rosie, JHF, they're always the ones that are putting their best foot forward. And new recruit Evans did really well in the back line there. And then for the Lions, you got Lockie Neal, 35 disposals, McInerney in the ruck. I mean, Jordan Sweet is just not up to it for AFL standard, unfortunately. And Soldo, I know he broke up with his girlfriend, that's why he hasn't been performing that well, but it's, yeah, not good to see. Eric Hipwood in the forward line, kicked 5 goals, 1, so he's definitely back, which is helping the Lions going into the finals sort of territory now. But yeah, for Ken Hinkley, I just think that he will see the season out, no doubt, but they've got a massive call at the end of the season for Port Adelaide to see what they're going to be doing there, and I do back his departure. I think there's only so much you can do, but at the end of the day, if Carr's been pulling the strings and Ken Hinkley's just there, you know, trying to help Carr, then who's really at fault? You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see what happens, what the board decide there. Carlton versus the Cats. This one was an absolute clinic by Carlton. I think they just put the Cats to the sword. Unfortunately, they had Tom Hawkins go down with a bit of a foot ankle injury. So he's still getting scans for that. We'll probably find out tomorrow, which is Tuesday. TDK in the ruck did really well. Cripper in the middle, and obviously Walsh, the usual suspects. And then for the Cats, Grant Myers, Dempsey did really well. And Sam de Koning, it was in the ruck. So yeah, I just think that Carlton and Sydney GF is looking quite possible at the moment. But yeah, it's still a long way to go, a long season to go. But I think Carlton are really building nicely. And yeah, I think they will be the two teams to watch going into September. I think Carlton and Sydney are the front runners. As for my tips, I got Carlton right, I got Lions right, I got Sydney right, and I got Melbourne right, I got the Bombers right, and I got the last game wrong. I tipped the Suns over Dockers, so pretty much got 4 out of 5 right. So I'm pretty happy with, 5 out of 6 right. I'm pretty happy with that. But anyway, what do you guys reckon? Comment down below, like and subscribe which game you liked and what your thoughts are on the Port episode, as well as Clayton Oliver. They're 2 topics at the moment that I'm interested in. But yeah, let me know. Cheers, guys.